Hey, Wire Monkeys, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Cabling. This episode, we're talking about tariffs.
Welcome to Let's Talk Cabling, your gateway to the world of ICT. Get ready to dive deep into knowledge that
Welcome to the show where we tackle the tough questions submitted by installers, technicians, project managers, estimators, IT personnel, even customers. We're connecting at the human level so that we can connect the world. If you're watching this show on YouTube, would you mind hitting the subscribe button and that bell button to be notified when new content is being produced? If you're listening to us on one of the audio podcast platforms, would you mind leaving us a 5-star rating? Those simple little steps helps us take on the algorithm so we can educate, encourage, and enrich the lives of people in the ICT industry. Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What are you doing? You know I do a live stream on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, everywhere, where you get to ask your favorite RCDD, and you know that's me. Questions about installation, design, certification. I even do career path questions. But I can hear you now. But Chuck, I'm driving my truck at 6 p.m. so Wednesday afternoon. I don't want to get into an accident. Relax. I record them, and you can watch them at your convenience. And finally, while this show is free and will always remain free, and you find value in this content, when you click on that QR code right there, you can buy me a cup of coffee. You can even schedule a 15-minute one-on-one call with me, after hours, of course. So tariffs. This is not something I would normally tackle with my podcast. I would kind of shy away from it, but they're talking about a 50% copper tariff. And a lot of our products are made out of copper, not just cable, but patch cords, bus bars. The copper goes in the circuit boards for connectors and patch panels. It's going to have an impact. So this is not going to be a financial show. I'm not going to, drill down into the nitty gritty, dollars and cents, but how's it going to impact you as a small business owner? How's it going to impact you as a project manager? Now, I could wax poetic because I do have a degree in business management and go down that road, but I don't want to have an episode that only 3 people watch, right? So that's why I actually invited on an expert, not in financials necessarily, but somebody who actually has the ears of the manufacturers and has the ears of the people buying the stuff. Who would that be? It would be distribution. So I had to bring on Advantage from Atlanta, one of the premier distribution outlets. Atlanta's a huge market if you didn't know this. It's kind of almost with it up there with like California for as far as there's like a ton of low voltage contractors. So Kelly, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Chuck, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. If you don't mind, just give us a 30-second who are you and who is Advantage Cable? And I always get your name wrong. Advantage Cable Wire.
It's Advantage Electronics Wire and Cable. I co-own Advantage Electronics Wire and Cable. We are based out of Marietta, Georgia. We are a low voltage distributor. We deliver all throughout the Southeast. We're based in Atlanta, but like I said, we meet nexus in like 8 states. So we're shipping all across the Southeast. And we sell everything low voltage from your fire alarm systems, your fiber optics, structured cabling, CCTV, access control. So anything low voltage, we're similar to the big guys, but we're a small family-owned business with a huge outreach. And like you said, we are talking to a lot of our manufacturing partners. And so our ear is close to the ground and we can help answer some of these questions you have today.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I've even been a customer there because I went to I didn't go to this recent open house one because I was at conflict with my training schedule, but I went to the previous one. And while I was there, I bought some Velcro for the podcast studio. So I'm a customer.
Well, we appreciated that. That's awesome. And we do love those events. And so we're happy to have you and hopefully you can make it to the next one. So it's a yearly thing for us. And we love the community outreach.
Yeah, it was a good, the one event I went to was really good because you had it seemed like 30, 40 manufacturers there, and you had a food truck there, and it was a great atmosphere. If you ever see them have advertise that event, I highly suggest you go because it's actually a great idea. So let's get on to this whole thing, the proposed 50% tariffs, right?
Yeah.
give us a basic overview on that tariff and any related issues that you think might come out of this.
Yeah, so I first heard about this tariff pretty much like everybody else. It was on all the major news outlets. July 8th, essentially, Trump was in a cabinet meeting with a lot of press, and they said that they would be imposing a 50% tariff across all copper imports, which, that could be a huge impact on our industry, considering, a lot of our cabling is made of copper. Like you said, pieces for patch panels, patch cords, all the things that we use daily, basic commodity items. So, it's created a lot of panic. And so, just want to sit and talk through that and kind of discuss, where we stand as a distributor and how we can help you prepare for the future.
Yeah, a lot of people, that's what I said, with tariffs, people tend to kind of gloss over it and not really pay attention. But when even the rumblings of tariffs, what that's going to do is for a customer, end user, when I say customer, I don't mean a low voltage contract. I'm talking about an end user, somebody who's thinking about doing a project. They're going to maybe not pull the trigger as fast because they don't know what or they may pull quicker. It just kind of really depends on the company, right? Because all the added cost due to the project. But tariffs are really only going to impact international products, stuff being brought in from outside. If it's copper mined in the U.S. and manufactured in the U.S., it's going to be exempt from this 50% tariff. Now, you being a distributor, and like you said, you rep all those lines. How much copper-based products are you currently sourcing that are international?
Well, according to many manufacturers, they buy the copper rods, not copper cathodes. So it's already, refined and created by the time that they get it to make it for the wire and then smaller gauges. So just the U.S. market alone last year, about $17 billion worth of copper was imported, which accounts for almost half of it. Most of the copper that we import is imported from South America. But, we do produce quite a bit here in the U.S. in states like Arizona leading the way. So, as far as like what percentage of that, as far as our wire copper rods that are being made into cabling, it's really hard to say. I spoke to a couple of manufacturers just last week, and he couldn't really give me a good answer on how much and what percentage and what that increase will look like. So at this point, it's a lot of speculation. I think really how this has affected our industry to this point is that people are panicking. And as a distributor, I never want to encourage my customers to panic. And this is where I think it becomes really important to, know your distribution, to know your manufacturerships, and to have these hard conversations. Because yes, things are changing. They are going to change. That's just a part of it. Copper is a huge commodity that we use not just for our industry, but industries across the whole U.S. as a whole. So it will affect us and prices will increase, but I don't think at this point it's enough to make us panic.
Yeah, it's the biggest problem I see of it is the unknown part of it. People don't know how it's going to affect, and because I run in a lot of manufacturing circles, and I hear a lot of table talk, about the tariffs. How's it going to affect us, and what's it going to do this, and it's just creating a lot of stress. A lot of stress.
Well, and as a matter of fact, the tariffs really haven't even been, there's no clear line or plan for the tariffs at this point. It was rumblings at a cabinet meeting that we have told is going to be implemented August 1st. And how that's going to take place and if it's going to be a rollout or if it's going to be all at once. I mean, we know that, other commodity items such as aluminum have been, raised in tariffs and they have been implemented, raw commodities. So it's no surprise that copper is going to fall into that line as well. Right. But as far as us, panicking over it, bulk buying, supply and demand, we all know that copper has increased tremendously. I mean, it's at the highest rate that it's been since the 60s at this point. And a lot of that has to do with the way that we have reacted towards it and just the panic buying. And so if you can hold off, I would say, get ready for the next couple months worth of jobs. But other than that, don't panic. Just, it's going to affect the industry as a whole. And I would hate to say that it's going to halt construction or anything like that because I just don't see that happening. So my biggest advice to everyone is just don't panic.
You've got patch panels to label and a deadline creeping up. With Fox in a Box and Labicus Innovator, you can print labels for up to 40 1U patch panels in just 30 seconds, giving you back your most valuable resource, time. And it doesn't stop there. This system prints over 100 variations of labels, from cable wraps to fiber flag labels and plenum-tested tie-ons. One software, one printer, one ribbon. It integrates with Fluke Linkware Live and AEM testers, turning test data into print-ready labels fast. Trusted by installers worldwide since 1979 and rated 4.8 on Trustpilot. Silver Fox Labeling. It's about time. Visit silverfoxlabeling.com or call 1-833-848-8484.
Yeah, one of the biggest, that most low voltage technicians can understand. The biggest example I can give of, because you mentioned copper as a commodity, and low voltage technicians know this, but they may not necessarily know that they know this. Because one of the biggest things, I used to be a technician, I used to be an installer, and I remember we would always save the scrap copper cable, and we would take it to the junkyard and we would scrap it, and that was kind of like our pizza money or chrome money for the Harley, whatever the case may be. And you can take one truckload, let's say in like January, and let's say it's 600 pounds, and you might get $50 for it. You can take that same truckload, 600 pounds, 2 months later, and you would get, $140 for it. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. It's a commodity. The price goes up, the price goes down. You just kind of never really know what's going on. Now, you mentioned a couple of the products that are going to be affected. Obviously, it would be copper cabling and connectors and patch panels. What other types of low voltage products do you think may be affected by this?
A lot of the grounding material will be affected by this. And so, the biggest price increase that I see in variants is the solid wire. So you have to think your fire alarm industry, life safety industry. And just the way that it is, fire alarm is required by code. That's never going to change.
Right.
So it's necessary. It's going to be there. I can remember when I first started in this industry selling 14.2, for less than $150. 14.2 FPLP is not $150 anymore. And it's only going to continue to rise. And so, the solid copper, not necessarily the category cable, but that's where you're going to see the biggest jumps right off the bat.
Yeah. So, like I said, you're connected to both the manufacturers, have their ears, but you also have the ears of the installers and the low voltage contractors in the Southeast. What are you hearing the contractors say?
Well, the biggest thing that if you are writing contracts that, have already been put in place, there's really not a lot some of these guys can do because they can't really change their pricing that they put in place. So they are buying ahead and they are wanting to get ahead of their jobs that they know are coming down the pipeline. If you can, in your contracts in the future, put a clause in there that allows for the pricing per pound of copper at today's rate, that will, give you some sort of protection. So if you can do that, just think to write that into your future contracts. Today copper is trading at $5 and something a pound. So if you can say that in your contract and be like, if this changes, the price of copper products will increase. Just, protect yourself in your small business and make sure that you're being smart with your contract. Yeah, the volatility of commodity items like copper, it is crazy price increase. And we were talking about a 50% price increase too. I think people, right off the bat just say, 50%. But there's way more that goes into that. Like I said, when these manufacturers are building their wire, they're buying the copper cathodes, which is, the product, but that's not the final product. They're buying the copper rods, which has been manufactured. So it's not necessarily, a 50% increase. You have to look and see, well, are all of the copper rods coming from imported goods or is some coming from Arizona? And so, I don't think it's going to be a 50% across the board either. So that number gets thrown around a lot, but really we don't know what we're talking about because each manufacturer is, getting it from different sources. It's different specifics. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out as a whole.
And hopefully this will go the way of several the tariffs that were proposed and talked about, because it seemed to me, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, it seemed to me that not industry related tariffs, but some of the other tariffs, they talked about implementing them and then they implemented them. Then usually within like a week, an agreement's made and the tariffs kind of went away?
It's really hard to say. Like I said, there's nothing in paper. I haven't seen anything come across my line. Other than, we have seen the price increases just from panic buying and the sheer fact of supply and demand and inflation, but not because of the tariffs. The price increase that you're feeling right now is mostly from people panic buying and supply and demand. It is not from tariffs because none of this has been implemented whatsoever.
I was talking to somebody else in another distribution role not too long ago, and they were telling me that they had a large cable contractor. And when I say large, if I mention the name, you will probably recognize it because they have a nationwide presence. And they were so worried about price increases that they reached an agreement with that distribution. Over the next 12 months, they would buy 1 million feet of cable if they would guarantee the price, no matter what happened to that price. So they basically got that distribution to almost buy and then warehouse that material for them over that year. And that's totally unheard of, because that's money you're taking out of the bank, putting into product in a warehouse that's taking up space. They could be using other products and could be making money other places. So I don't know if I necessarily would recommend that to somebody, but that's how much fear this is causing. And it's just,
and as somebody in distribution, if your distribution partner is telling you to go out and buy a lot, I would maybe consider, getting secondary opinion, because, if I were to go to my customers and strike fear in them, that's not my job. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to give you the facts. We're here to help you make wise decisions for your business. Because, this inflation has caused an increase in the spike right now. But what happens if these tariffs don't go into place and things go back down?
right.
I'm not saying that it's going to happen, because I have no idea. I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did. It could save me a lot of heartache. But if that's the case, then I would hate to tell anybody to panic buy. Just like I said, if you have a couple of jobs coming down the pipeline within the next couple months, maybe look at buying for those. But other than that, I don't think I would, buy worth product.
I wouldn't buy anything extra except for maybe a contract that I was 98% sure that I was going to be awarded the project and I knew it was going to happen. If it was still in the bidding stage and it's being bid to 14 other low voltage contractors,
I
wouldn't buy that. And because
in this business, as you know all too well, so if you can wait it out, it can affect everybody across the board. So, my biggest advice is to find a distribution partner. This is where us regionals really thrive, I feel like, because you have that relationship, and you can give myself or Mike or Spartek or somebody in our office a call. And we'll tell you like it is. I actually had, one of my integrators from Macon send me a text this week and ask me, hey, should I be placing a big order for fire alarm cable? And I simply told him, no, please don't. Buy what you can, for the next couple jobs that you already have, but there's no sense in panicking, because it's going to affect everybody. So it's really not worth tying up cash flow, putting yourself in financial trouble later down the road, just because of fear that people have struck in and the unknown.
The worst thing you could do is tie up all your money in a bunch of copper cable in a warehouse and then not be able to make payroll. That is like one of the worst things
don't do that. And your vendors will appreciate you not doing that, because then it'll cause cash flows down the road with them. So it's just never a good thing to buy off of fear.
Whether you're pulling your first cable or managing multi-million-dollar installs, you're not alone. Welcome to Low Voltage Nation, the largest, most active community of low-voltage pros in the game. With over 176,000 members on Facebook and growing, this is where ICT professionals connect, collaborate, and level up together. Got a question? You'll get answers from real techs with real experience. Facing a job site challenge? Someone here has solved it, and will show you how. From fiber to access control, estimating to entrepreneurship, Low Voltage Nation is your power network. This isn't just another group, it's a movement. Join the community today at lowvoltagenation.com or jump into the conversation at our Facebook group. Because in this industry, the strongest signal comes from those who connect.
And business related, business 101, you're looking for steady growth right? And the last thing you want is a big spike in August because of a tariff, and then September and October are nothing because everybody bought all the stuff, and then the tariff kind of went away, and then now because you always business financial is something that good businesses are always following, I've seen a lot of tool lists, and I've never seen crystal ball listed in the tool list for a project manager or a foreman. So
Oh,
yeah,
maybe
no,
not have it, but it just doesn't work like that. And that brings up a really good point too. People are asking me supply and demand, or do we think there's going to be any supply chain issues? And at this point, I haven't seen it. The only thing that somewhat is a bit of a supply chain issue, maybe some of the prefab patch cords. But if y'all got good technicians, y'all should be able to make your own patch cords too if you get in a big bind. But at this time, that is the only commodity that I'm seeing that may have a little bit of a lead time due to this.
That's interesting. I wonder why the impact on patch cords for as far as that's weird. I have to do some research on that.
From other countries, essentially the prefab.
Oh, okay.
So that's really the only thing that I'm seeing that's a little bit back ordered at this time. As far as wire on wire, no problem. We personally use a manufacturer here in the U.S. for that. And I've spoke to them. They feel confident, that their supply chain isn't going to be affected by this.
Right.
Prices may change and that may be more volatile, but the actual supply probably not going to be affected.
So you address the other issues such as lead times and stuff like it beyond the actual cost of the copper. Are contractors looking at maybe respecifying their project, maybe looking at maybe going with the fiber option, or God help them going with the CCA option?
Well, fiber optics is always a good solution for some things. So if you can, absolutely. But you can't completely get away from copper cable.
No.
And as far as copper clad aluminum, I just want to, this is a soapbox that I will stand upon all day. Just don't.
Yes.
And if you have a distribution partner that tells you that they can get you that cable for much cheaper, and it is copper clad aluminum, maybe find another distribution partner, because that is not a good product. The way that it, the conductivity of it, the way it overheats, the durability, it's just not a good product comparatively to traditional categories.
And it's not code compliant.
No,
it's not. It's not code compliant. And typically the people that I see screaming the most about CCA are the people who just started their own low voltage business and they're trying to buy the cable as cheap as they can. So they're going to the world famous distribution company that everybody buys stuff off of, that you probably would know if I mentioned the name, that has data centers all across the place. Yeah, don't buy copper clad aluminum. That's one of the worst things you can do.
Yeah, I come against it all the time, surprisingly. I have contractors calling me all the time and integrators saying, hey, but I got quoted this price for it. And then when they go back and they look and they see it's CCA, I'm like, you can buy that all day for that price, but it's just not worth the risk. So I would highly advise steering away from CCA.
It's great. You and I will both stand on that soapbox together. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you see a different impact for smaller low voltage contractors as compared to an impact to a medium or large contractor?
Well, like you said, some of these larger guys are going out and placing bulk orders. So as far as the effect goes, they're tying up their cash flow more.
Right.
But it's going to affect everybody across the board because everybody's buying cabling the same from distribution partners. So do I really think it's going to affect smaller guys even more and make them unable to compete? Absolutely not. If you have the right distribution partner that's, buying it at a reasonable price, selling it. And, a lot of us distribution partners, we do project-based pricing anyways. So if you have a large enough project or something that we can help you with, come to us or your local regional distributor, and we can a lot of times help you, be more competitive in this space.
A quick word from the folks who help make this show possible. Are you ready to boost your fiber game? Then check out Go Far Fiber Training School, where you'll learn from the best. Lee Renfro, RCDD, Bixie Tech, and 3-time winner of the Bixie Cable Skills Challenge himself. Whether you're pulling your first strand or prepping for certification, Go Far delivers hands-on, real-world training that gets you job site ready. Don't just go far. Lee will take you all the way. Sign up today and start leveling up your career. Visit GoFar on LinkedIn or click on the link in the description below.
So this is actually not one of our prearranged questions, but I know you can answer it easily. I know what you're talking about when you said project-based pricing. But to somebody who's got a brand new low voltage company, they may not know what that is. So explain the difference between over counter pricing and project pricing.
Yeah. So if you send your technician into our will call location and you just, want to pick up like a couple of boxes of Cat 6 plenum, obviously your price is going to be a little bit different than if you come to me and say, hey, Kelly, I have, this school system that I'm doing a project for, and I want to get some great pricing on it. I'm bringing you this job. I'll give you a perfect example. I have a small guy here in town that is doing a small career field school here in Marietta. And he came to me and he said, could I get project pricing for this? And, they bring the job to me. And sure, so I speak with the manufacturer. I get special project pricing for this particular job, for this particular contractor. It kind of protects him against some of the outside bidders since he is the one that generated the business and did the lead generation. And so I want to protect that business and, protect that pipeline since he's doing all the legwork for us.
Right. So let me ask you this. Is there a threshold? I mean, is there a project that's too small to do project pricing?
If it's like a couple of boxes here and there, then, probably can't do project pricing. But if it's a large enough project, say, $5-10 of cabling, then absolutely let's have a conversation and see if we can help you.
That's a great tip because a lot of people who are just starting their low voltage contracting businesses, they're used to being a technician going into the will call and say, I just need 2 boxes of Cat 6A plenum, and just they're not paying for it, the company's paying for it, not even thinking about it. But now they got their own business, you got to worry about where every penny goes.
Yeah,
and now that you know that you can get better pricing just because you can get attached under project pricing. That's a great tip. That's
and I think it's really important to find a distribution partner that you trust. There are so many great independent regional distributors out there that will pass along registration savings to you. And I'm not sure how everyone does it, but I have known some of the big box guys to not necessarily pass along those registrations. So find somebody that you can trust and that you can have an open dialogue about these projects. And be involved with the manufacturer, be involved with your distributor, and create those partnerships that are symbiotic to help each other. That's the best tip I can give to any integrator out there.
Oh, absolutely. And I've had other distributors on the show in the past. I'm agnostic. I invite everybody on the show because I represent the industry, not just one small facet of the industry. And I even said on in those conversations, that big deliver to your doorstep company that everybody buys from. Now they want to buy their cable from. Try calling them up for project pricing. Try calling them up if they sent you the wrong stuff, or you have an issue with the cable that's not certifying. Try calling them up. See how much they're going to help you. Distribution, they're going to help you. They're going to help you walk through and be your point of contact for the manufacturer, and they probably already gone through it maybe once or twice or 3 times and know how to handle that kind of stuff. So there's always a huge advantage to buying from distribution that a lot of people just, I don't know why they don't get it. And
there is a huge advantage there. See what I did there?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, definitely.
That was cool.
Utilize the channel. The channel is there to help you.
Right.
Distribution knows what they're doing. They are your logistics partner. They are your person to make sure that you're getting what you need in a timely manner. The pricing is great. And they will protect you. So make sure that you are, having those dialogues and those conversations.
Right. So is Advantage doing anything because of this tip? Or maybe expanding your inventory or adjusting your pricing structures?
Well, we are expanding, not necessarily because of the tariffs. We have, bought the suite next door, as most people know, and we will plan on expanding into a new showroom. And so we're increasing our inventory just as a natural state of expansion and growth for our business, which is a great thing. But as far as the tariffs go, I would say no, we really haven't done too much. I have close conversations with Vertical Cable, Advanced Digital Cable, WaveNet, PureNet, all the cabling manufacturers that we currently stock here in Marietta. And so, as soon as they hear something, I will hear something. And most of the time I have good enough partnerships and relationships with these guys that they do give us full warning whenever we are going to have an increase. So when that time comes, I will notify my customer base, the integrators that I work with on a regular basis, and I will let them know in a timely manner. But at this time, I'm not panic buying. I would encourage all of you watching not to panic buy either, because that doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help cash flow, and it doesn't help the industry as a whole.
Right.
And so there's no sense in it. So if you can just, keep business as normal, and take it a day at a time. And when we know, I guess we'll all know and figure out what's going on.
There are some people out there that they are what I call overthinkers. My wife's one of them. She overanalyzes so much stuff. And I can tell you right now, if she was a logistics person for a low voltage company, she'd be like trying to find all the different kind of resources she can find about this tariff. So other than waiting for you to call the low voltage contract, say, hey, look, there's going to be a price increase. There's not going to be a price increase. What other methods do you propose to a low voltage contractor that they can do to stay up on this tariff situation?
Well, definitely watch the news and kind of see what this administration does. Use basic common sense and just kind of watch that. If you see that, the tariffs are going to come through and they're reporting it on all the major news outlets, then yeah, maybe it's time to place a larger bulk order. But at this time, that's not happened yet. So I would just, keep your ears open, close to the ground, have those relationships, people that you can trust, and go from there.
Excellent. Great subject. I appreciate you coming on today, Kelly.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
See, I told you it wouldn't be that hard. I told you. It's just like a Zoom call. It's just a little different. I need to bring you on because I want to do a show on a couple shows on myth busting. I see a lot of. I'm all over social media, as you know, and I'm in all of the platforms, all of the groups, and I get tired of hearing the same arguments all the time, right? Like one of them. I'll just give you a hint. Maybe you and I can or you and me, Advantage, can talk. Come on, and do another show. Talk about this. Cat 6A is double the price of Cat 6. No, it's not.
No,
it's not double. It's
No.
not double. But here's the problem, because I'm not an estimator anymore, so I don't have, I'm not pricing the stuff, so I don't have the most current pricing. But you guys sell it,
yeah,
so
I can definitely help you with that. So let's get back together. Let's get some topics that people want to hear. So I know
absolutely.
have the integrators that can submit questions to you. So anything that we can help you with, I'd love to come back on sometime.
I appreciate it. Yeah, Lee told me that you guys were expanding out there, that you were taking over the spot next door, because he said he went to that open house that you guys had, and actually I owe him a phone call, but he said you guys were expanding. I was like, that's good. I'm glad to hear that, because when I was there, you guys were you had so many people there. It's like,
we're bursting at the seams. It's a good problem to have, and we also I'm speaking prematurely, but we are planning on opening an office in Texas. So
where in Texas? Where?
We're looking at the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So
that's another huge market.
It is. So
yes.
I've been spending a lot of time in Texas. I was actually just there last week. So if you are a Texas integrator, hit me up. So we will be in that market very, very soon.
Yeah. I used to live in Plano, so I'm familiar with that market too.
Nice.
Let's cable with pride. In the world of ICT, let's ride this tide. Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Cabling. Stay tuned for more